All right, Coach, National Signing Day, really your first one back at UCF this time. Just kind of reflect on today and all the signings.
Today went off without a hitch. I really like the group that we got. It was a no drama day. Everything was in and done early. This whole process has changed a lot since last time I was here. Recruiting in high school kids is a really important way to build the foundation of your team and get guys in the program that can help now or be developed into guys that you hope you can keep for a long time. But it's also not the only way to build and improve a team anymore. So probably has a little less attention and glamour than it used to, but it's still a very important day.
Scott, you brought in a couple of quarterbacks. What's kind of your plan, I guess, for the future with them, and how does that change developing a quarterback now? Because obviously guys want to play immediately, and with the portal and everything like that, it kind of moves up the timeline. What's your kind of thought process about developing maybe some of these young arms?
Yeah, I think quarterback is no different than other positions is. In a perfect world, we're developing them all in-house and getting guys understanding our system and built in our program and make them better. We didn't have the opportunity to do that much last year because I got here after signing day. So this is really our first step in kind of trying to recruit some building blocks at several positions. Quarterback certainly one. If you we're experiencing this every day and seeing the drama and the price tags that go along with transfer quarterbacks, it certainly benefit us to have a homegrown one, and love the two guys that we got and feel like we're going to pour into them and try to build somebody that we can keep for a while.
Coach, obviously the transfer portal opens in January, but there were recent reports about quarterback Taven Jackson planning to enter the transfer portal. What are the thoughts on that situation? What's your situation on that side?
Well, I can't, and it doesn't make any sense to comment on any individual. This is college football now. It's crazy time. We have to decide what's best for our team and who needs to stay and who needs to go, and players need to decide what's best for them and who wants to stay and who isn't going to stay. And there's going to be a lot of moving around and jockeying at every college town in America. So when the dust settles from all of it, I can comment on individuals more, but we're right in the middle of that now.
I kind of want to follow up. What are your goals, especially answering the board with your goals with retention, and what's your message to the team that they want to build on what they accomplished this year?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of the guys, said this after the last game, a lot of guys that are pieces that we want to build on and build around. It's going to be a lot easier for us this year to know those guys, know which ones belong, which ones fit us, which ones are doing things the right way, and which ones we're going to do everything we can to keep here. That's going to mean that we can fill in holes rather than build an entire team, and that's definitely a better position to be approaching this from. So we have a lot of goals and just trying to build the best team we can.
Of your 13 signees, 5 from Florida, none from Greater Orlando, what was your strategy in recruiting the state of Florida and Central Florida in particular?
Well, you can have a strategy. It really comes down to each individual player. If we're going to invest some of our resources from a money standpoint in high school kids, then we expect those kids to come in and play. And there's a few of those that I think have a chance to come in and help the team right away. Some others that we're really excited about, not just where they are only, but where they can grow and how far we think how much they can improve and how far they can go. So it's a combination of all those things. I think this is probably fairly emblematic of what we'll be going forward, and I think about half our kids are from Florida, and kind of surprised it's not a little more than that, but we're going to look under every rock and try to find the guys that fit us, and I feel really good about the guys we did get.
Did you have a specific budget for high school recruits? How did you do to that cap or the allotment?
No, there's no set number on anything. We have a number for the team, and the bigger that number gets, maybe the more you spend on freshmen. But again, I want to make sure we have a team that has the best chance possible to compete next year. And I think if you're spending a lot of money on guys that you don't think are going to play immediately, then that investment's not helping you win football games immediately. And we certainly have a lot of needs on the team right now and things to fix, and I think we found a good balance.
Coach, with the addition of Kaj and Arthur, you have a deep but young running back room when it comes to who's left with eligibility next year, and Miles and Jaden graduate. I know maybe the portal could supplement that, but as far as running backs you do have under your roof right now, what stands out about that, and what do you think what will get them to earn playing time in 2026?
Well, they'll have to compete and earn playing time at running back like everywhere else. I was really excited about a couple guys in our program that got hurt during the year, and we didn't get to see Swint do much this year because of a camp injury. Stacy Gage got hurt partway through the season. Those guys are both young. Now we're adding two freshmen. I love the traits of the guys we have. We don't have a lot of experience there, so that's something we might need to look at and address. But we're trying to collect the best people and the best talent that we can and feel good about the guys we have.
What stands out to you about Kaj and Arthur?
Kaj has an elite trait, and that's his speed. When I was here the first time, I think my first commitment was from Adrian Killens, and that's a lot to put on a kid to compare him to someone like that. But I think the speed is similar, and he certainly opened up games for us. I think Kaj has some of the same traits. So I'm really excited to get him. I think there's a lot of things we can do with him. Arthur is, we think flew under the radar a little bit, and just as an all-around back with a tremendous amount of potential and upside, really excited about him too. So those guys are going to be good additions, and Jimmy B will do a great job with them.
When did your staff identify Rocco Marriott in this recruiting process, and what made him the guy that you really wanted to target as the month of October and November rolled around and engaged at this point?
Yeah, I'm picky about quarterbacks. KZ is picky about quarterbacks. And that's just a game of musical chairs and a dance that you have to play right up to the end. We actually spoke with Rocco some back earlier in the year. We had a commitment at the time. He was committed somewhere else at the time, and we didn't want to get really serious about it unless the opportunity here was going to be available, and felt like he was in a position that it was viable. So that all kind of happened late, but he's had a great senior season and has a lot of the traits that we're looking for, and thrilled to have him here.
Can you speak more about the traits that Rocco has? What kind of jumps out at you that makes him, you think, would be a good fit for your offense?
He's big, he's fast, he can really throw it. He's a competitor. He's played multiple sports. I think he's hungry. I think he has a lot of potential.
And Dante Carr, the other quarterback you signed, who's been a winner up in Pennsylvania, just kind of talk about signing him and what you liked about him.
Yeah, Dante caught my eye early on this spring too, and Dante, reminds me a little of myself when I was that age. To be honest with you, he's just a great all-around athlete. He's a great kid. We have some work to do with him on his stroke, and I think he knows that. But he's a fantastic athlete and fantastic kid. Was getting recruited by a lot of places to play quarterback and some places to play something else. I think when you're an athletic quarterback, every time a throw doesn't look perfect, they come to you and ask you, why aren't you playing some other position? If you're not a good enough athlete to play a different position, then they never say that to you if you make a bad throw. But Dante's a guy that I'm really excited to work with, work on his mechanics a little bit, and I think if we get that ironed out, he's got the athletic ability and just the approach to the game that can make him really good.
Sean, excuse me, Scott, I was going to say that you lost Sean Clark obviously this year. What is your approach to the offensive line coaching job? Is it something you plan to fill soon? Do you have any ideas how you're going to fill that? And also, when you look at the rest of the staff, do you expect any changes going on the staff?
Talk about Sean first. That was tough on me. It was tough on us. When you're in the position that we're in and something like that happens, you almost have to just ignore it and do your job. And to be honest, I don't think a lot of us had time to process it. I just spoke to Janelle 2 nights ago. She's still processing it. I can't tell you how good a guy he was. Of all the people I've ever coached with, he's one of my favorite guys that I've ever been around. I just loved seeing him every day. He was such a positive influence on everybody in our building. So, just crushed for the family, and I miss him personally. We got through the year. I think Coach Bear did a great job of kind of keeping it on the rails and doing what he could do to make sure that position kept performing. Danny Hope came in, who was a friend of Sean's, that wanted to help because of how much he cared about Sean. So it wasn't certainly ideal, but the problems of a football team are insignificant compared to the impact that can have on a family and human beings. We've been keeping our eye open at that position for a while now, and I've spent a lot of this week trying to narrow down a list and get closer, and I'd like to get something done there sooner rather than later.
Do you expect any other changes on the coaching staff now, Stephen?
I don't. You never know. You can be surprised by some things, but for a first-year program that brought 70 new in, I thought there was a lot of good things that happened, and I think everybody's committed to doing the little things better to try to get us to the next step.
Coach, obviously Cam Fancher was one of the starting quarterbacks. Going into the season, he competed the entire year, and then he got injured. What's his current status in terms of receiving possibly a medical red shirt?
Yeah, we're trying to help Cam get another year back, and I actually met with Cam today and talking to him about our future and his future, and I think we're both going to take a little time and see what the picture looks like. I would love to have Cam back in the program. Just the toughness that he plays with and the commitment to football and who he is as a person make him somebody that you want to have around. But I think there's a lot of things that need to clear up so he feels good about the situation here and we can move forward.
You talked about how recruiting has changed since you were last here, having a general manager, a director of player personnel. What was the process like in your involvement in that? How did you approach recruiting as a team?
That's a big question. When you come in December and really don't get your feet on the ground until January, you're actually behind for recruiting kids that signed today. That's a process that takes more than a year. We're in a great place to recruit, so it was easier for us to find kids and go out and make sure we were getting the right kind of kids that fit us. We'll be in a better position for that even next year than we were this year. But I think the staff did a great job of identifying guys that fit us and had some of the traits that we were looking for. And I think it'll get easier as we go forward, but I think we did a great job this year.
What was the sales pitch for UCF, maybe how that's changed from when you were first here?
I think UCF sells itself, particularly being a bigger league now. Guys know that Florida kids in particular can stay close to home and play big-time football near their family. This university kind of speaks for itself, and the city of Orlando speaks for itself. And I know a lot of kids that we came across would really like to be here, and we were able to narrow it down to the ones that we really wanted and try to build a foundation with these guys.
Coach, what stood out to you about Alasan there? His story came out of Ghana, only picked up football very recently. What really stood out to you to recruit him, and what does he bring to this program?
Yeah, we got several coaches from up in the Northeast, and they take pride in that, and they like to keep tabs on everything going on up there. Al kind of came on our radar earlier in the year, and we got really excited about him. It was a battle to get him here, but when he came down, he really loved the place and loved the coaches. He got hurt this year, and we stuck with him. I think that meant a lot to him, but we believe in him, and he's going to have some rehabbing to do when he gets here, but I'm excited about him, his upside, and what he can bring to UCF.
Scott, I know you're talking bigger picture about personnel within a program coaching-wise, but at NIL stage, from your first recruiting class, your first time here, to now, how much has just the landscape of college football changed?
It's broken. College football's broken. I don't know if you'll get that honest answer from everyone, but everyone would agree if they were honest. You just got to try to play the game as best you can. And, you know, Terry and people here have done an unbelievable job getting us on a level playing field with everybody else from a rev share standpoint. That gives us a great chance. We need to keep pushing forward and trying to do even more. But it's night and day different from just recruiting high school kids. It's just a different game now, and I think we'll be better suited to approach it this year for a lot of reasons. One, we actually know our team. You know, I laugh about it now, but I did my press conference last year and had a couple players and their agents waiting outside my office 5 minutes after I did my press conference to start telling me how much money I needed to pay them, and I didn't even know who the kids were. We're going to know our team now. We're going to know our strengths and weaknesses. I think we're at a better financial position to approach this, and we're going to be able to hopefully just build around some people rather than try to build the whole thing from scratch. So you get out of the stress and heavy work of season and go straight into this, and this is a lot of work too. You know, Trent Mossbrocker and Love and Beer and all the guys in recruiting, Dan Pirtle, this is their season, and they've been doing a lot of work to prepare themselves for this, and now we got to do the best job we can to try to fill out a team.
Scott, so to piggyback off this, from your point of view, how does that impact the kids, you know, the high school kids coming in? I mean, because maybe fans think about the financial windfall that they could benefit from, but in terms of development as people, as athletes, do you see it harming the kids at all? Do you see a different side?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are probably impacted by the way college football is now. You know, the days of going to a school and being loyal to the school and being able to go back to homecomings and support a school that you were at for 4 or 5 years and you got a degree from. Some kids will never have that because they've been at 3 or 4 schools, you know. One of the things that I think a lot of coaches love about coaching is the mentoring side of it, and I've talked a lot about taking an 18-year-old young man that doesn't have life figured out and watching him leave as a 22-year-old that you've poured into a little bit, and that's very fulfilling as a coach. That's getting harder and harder to do. The time frame that you have to impact some guys can be a lot shorter now. You got to build a team and a team culture year by year now. You know, the good thing for us is we're going to have a lot of guys that understand what we want and our standards, and when you have culture keepers in the locker room that hold everybody else to standard, that's a big piece, and we're going to have a lot more of that this year than last year.
You kind of alluded to it, you know, schools before the House settlement, they loaded up on NIL to kind of pay for these classes, and now you've got schools openly saying they're going to, you know, contribute over rev share. You know, LSU said it when they hired Lane, and Texas Tech, when it was going to do. BYU just said they're going to supplement, you know, whatever it is. So is UCF at a competitive disadvantage if all you have is primarily rev share?
Well, it's baffling to me that we are going to sign participation agreements saying we're not going to do any of that, and then have newspaper articles come about how much you're guaranteeing to spend over rev share. So, you know, there's no bigger fan of the people trying to put guardrails around this than me and us. And honestly, mostly because it's best for college football if this gets under control. That being said, we're gonna do everything we can to try to build a team with good resources that people have put a lot of work in to get us, and it'd be an awesome environment in college football if everybody had the same to spend. You know, I've said this a lot, but you know, any sport where whoever has the richest boosters wins, you know, that's not a good model for a sport. So we're rooting for it to get curtailed. In the meantime, we got to try to do the best we can.
And where are you with this roster right now? Have you negotiated, you know, with the players obviously you want to retain and keep? Do you have agreements maybe for players to come back? Is that a process that'll go on for the next couple weeks?
It's a process, and it'll probably go on all the way through the end of the portal. Those conversations have already started and will continue to take place all the way up until it's too late for us to get kids into school drop out.
How will that impact maybe February signing day? I mean, you know, if you have other kids on your radar that you're thinking about?
Yeah, last year we made a couple really good additions in the late high school signing period, and we're certainly going to be on the hunt for them again this year. So, we're going to keep a couple spots available if we can go out and find some kids that for whatever reason aren't connected to a place yet. And like I said, I think we did a good job with that, adding some pieces that I think are going to be really good down the road in the late signing period. So we're always looking for good players, whatever method we need to use to get them here, and we'll have our eye open.
Considering the portal and considering the turnover of the coaching cycle this past year, are you able to focus on anything just beyond how guys help you in 2026, or do you see some of these players and think that by the time 27, 28 rolls around, this is the plan I have in place for them?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be thinking about now and down the road, and that's where, this is really going to be our first signing class. Like I said, the more guys that you can build in-house and only have to fill in around, I think that makes you a better football team and have more continuity. So, you got to try to do the best you can to compete now while having an eye on the big picture. And you only have two eyes, so you got to keep your pupils moving a lot.
Coach, what's kind of your end of the season evaluation and assessment on some of the assistant coaches that came and helped out this year, especially someone like Kenny Martin, who was on the team previously and you were arriving?
Yeah, I said this after I got here. I think you can. It's the easy way out as a coach is to hire people you know and your friends. And this time when I came here, I wanted to just go out and try to find the best that I could for the spots with the resources we had to spend on them. So we have, 2 or 3 coaches that I've worked with a lot in the past that I believed in and knew about. And really the rest of the staff is guys that we either found when we were looking to hire people or someone that was here before. I didn't know Coach D'Onofrio real well before he came. He's done a great job. Coach Grinch I'd coached against. He did a really good job this year. Kmart was already here. He did a really good job this year. Jimmy Beal at running backs, I think is a really good coach, and really thankful for having him here. And I don't mean to leave anyone out. Coach Alomar, really detailed, did a great job this year. So, it's more of a collection of people this year. And Kmart was here before and already knew the team, and that was a big help to us last year. And just like a team, the coaching staff has to continue to come together and be even closer and a tighter unit. And we'll certainly have time in the off season to do that. But I think continuity is important too, and excited to keep working with those guys and get to know them better.
How do you think KZ handled year one as quarterback?
Yeah, I left out KZ, didn't I? KZ is going to be a really good coach. He is now. He and I see things largely the same way. He's very detailed. He's very knowledgeable. Players like him and want to play for him. So, like I've said a lot, I'm really glad to give KZ an opportunity to have his first full-time job, and he's done a great job, and he'll continue to do so.
Got time for a few more?
Scott, you talked about this, about retention, and have you had discussions from players about maybe the guys already thinking about entering the transfer portal, and that give you kind of a little bit of heads up, a leg up as you start to think about the next 3 weeks before the portal window opens?
Yeah, I mean, the more conversations you can have and the more honesty you can have, I think helps. There will always be surprises both ways, and that's just this game. And we got to have our eye on answers no matter what happens with every single kid in every single position. We got to be ready for any eventuality. And that being said, I think the relationship that we've built with a lot of these guys and the relationships the coaches have with players, it's been a very positive environment for the most part. And I think there's a lot of kids that really enjoy it and want to be here. And for the ones that we want, we'll do our best to keep as many as we can.
Coach, what stood out to you about Kasai Charlton? I know his high school made some headlines recently with the state playoff game, and did you get a chance to talk with Kasai about that and just what recently?
Yeah, I did. I'm excited about Kasaya as a player. You know, he's been on board with us for a long time. Um, I did see the video what happened, and man, that was unfortunate. Don't feel real good about the fact that somebody that is going to be involved with us was involved in something like that. I really don't want to say more than that, other than I do feel good about who he is as a person long term, and as a player long term, and excited to get him in the program.
What's the through line on this class? How would you describe the overall class, the vibe, the identity that you think they collectively bring?
You know, we wanted guys that had traits that we think we can build into to make them better players than maybe where they're ranked at now, if I had to point to one thing. If you look at the group, there's a lot of size and length. I think we can get bigger. We certainly need to get a little tougher as a football team, but I really like the size and length of a lot of these guys. I like the elite speed of a lot of guys, and overall I just like the upside of the class. You know, if we were going to invest a lot of our resources in high school kids to try to get the highest ranked kids and the most, what people assume are the most elite kids in the program, then I think that would hurt, like I said, our product on the field next year. But UCF's made a living off of guys that maybe didn't get recruited by some of the top recruiting class schools in the country, but they became just as good of players. And I really like the upside a lot of these guys, and believe that if we get them in here and put them in the weight program and in our system of what they can become, and hopefully it happens sooner rather than later.
Can you speak on the importance of this upcoming transfer portal class that you're going to recruit? I know you weren't happy with the 5 and 7 season. You want to turn this thing around as quickly as possible, and there's some big holes to fill. Just talk about how important that's going to be for your rebuild.
Yeah, I think every time you get to this stage in the year, you're excited to reset and rebuild. We got to do a great job of evaluation. We got a great job of selling UCF. I think we made a lot of strides this year, but we need to turn the corner and get this over the hump, be a winning program. We certainly need some additions in order to make that happen, and there's a lot of work being done right now to make sure we get the right guys in here that can do that.
Awesome. When you took the job, you said you wanted to continue doing the play calling and have it be a collaborative effort with Steve and some of the other staff on offense. Is that still the plan for 2026, or do you maybe move into a different role, more that CEO style role as a head coach?
No, I mean, I don't think I can ever get away from it completely. Steve Cooper, I do trust. I've been around him a long time, and he and I see the game the same. Steve's influence had a lot more to do in the BYU game than maybe in some other games. But it's going to continue to be a collaboration. I trust him a lot. That being said, that's been my baby for a long time, and I certainly want to be the probably primary driver of that.
Can I ask about Coach Kleiman at Kansas State? Reports came out today that he's going to retire, and Colin Klein is going to take over that program. I know you're close with Coach Kleiman. Just kind of, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't want to speak on anyone else. I do know college football's changed, and it's probably double the work that it was 8 years ago, and it was a lot 8 years ago. So I don't want to say much other than wish him the best, and he certainly had a really good run at North Dakota State and Kansas State, and at some point everybody's got to make a decision on what's best for them and their families, and wish Coach Kleiman a lot of happiness and good luck.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for coming, everybody.